Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Hiltwine, and I'm part of the CRCF team here at the Center for Innovative Technology. If you attended any of our previous webinars, you know that CIT manages the Commonwealth Research Commercialization Fund, or CRCF. Today's presentation, the last live session for the FY2018 round, will provide an overview of the budget component of a CRCF application. We'll go over the budget and budget narrative. I'll also discuss the matching funds requirement for each of our programs, and I'll share some tips for things to look out for and errors to avoid. We want to help you prepare a strong application, and getting the budget right is a big part of that. Today's presentation won't cover anything else about the application process. So if you weren't able to participate in a prior application-focused webinar, yesterday's presentation should actually be available by close of business of today or at the latest tomorrow morning. The PowerPoint is already posted. Or you're welcome to check out the recording from a similar session hosted last month that's currently available. Regardless of the materials you choose to access, I strongly encourage that you spend a few minutes reviewing those materials for additional insights into preparing strong applications. Matching funds are a component of all funding programs. These are monies provided in at least an equivalent amount to the monies being requested from CRCF. For the SBIR and STTR matching funds programs, this match is fulfilled by the federal SBIR or STTR grant. For our other three funding programs, these funds may come from a variety of different sources. I'll give some examples here in a few minutes. Matching funds may be cash or in-kind monies that equal or exceed the amount of funding requested from CRCF. For multi-year projects, matching funds must mirror both the annual and total CRCF requests. So for example, if you're requesting $100,000 over the course of 2 years, $50,000 each year, then your match must equal or exceed $50,000 each year. Matching funds must be active during the CRCF period of performance, available beginning on the CRCF start date and through the duration of the project, and be specific to the proposed project. Matching funds may certainly exceed the one-to-one requirement. For example, in the case of the SBIR or STTR matching funds programs, in addition to the federal award, which serves in its entirety as the project match, an applicant may also provide additional matching funds. This increased leverage of Commonwealth dollars is regarded favorably during our review process. There are several sources of money that are not eligible for matching funds. Monies may not come from other CIT programs, including the CIT Gap Funds and Mach 37, and previous CRCF awards are not eligible as a match. State contracts or grants may also not be used for matching funds, which include other funding programs such as VBHRC or the Catalyst, CHRB, or VRIF. The one exception to this is for university applicants. Waived salaries or indirect costs, which may be considered state monies, are eligible as a CRCF match. Matching funds monies may not be expended before or after the CRCF period of performance. For example, if an applicant secured funds for a 3-year federal grant and is wrapping up year 1 of that period of performance, the amount of the award already expended cannot be used as the match, nor can funds that would be expended after the CRCF project ends. For the SBIR and STTR matching funds programs, the only constraints are on the period of performance of the federal award. Matching funds cannot be secured after a CRCF award is made. As I already mentioned, matching funds may be cash or in-kind and could come from the applicant, a partner, or another third-party contributor, provided they meet the aforementioned criteria. They could include the waived salaries and/or fringe benefits of team members, materials, supplies, equipment purchased specifically by the project by the applicant or project partners, travel costs directly associated with the project, partner or subcontractor work contributing to the project, as well as waived indirect costs such as G&A or overhead. Additional sources of matching funds are federal, private, or other non-Commonwealth of Virginia grants or contracts that support the same work proposed in the CRCF application and align with the CRCF project's period of performance. A list of various sources of matching funds is found within the FAQs document. A copy of this resource has been attached to this webinar as a handout and can be downloaded now or at the end of the session. Or a copy can be found on the CRCF solicitation landing page or any of the program pages in the Documents widget at the top right. Note that unlike the CRCF requested monies, matching funds do not have a cap in any budget category. They can come from one or a variety of eligible sources, in any combination. As is true with monies requested from CRCF, matching funds with a higher ratio of direct costs are regarded more favorably. The budget and budget narrative are both required elements of all CRCF program applications. They are two tabs of a single Excel document. The budget document is where you'll record and explain the monies requested from CRCF and provide it as your match. Templates for the budget and budget narrative, like the application, are program specific. Make sure you download the correct materials for the program that you're applying to. If you had started an application in a previous solicitation, please do not attempt to reuse those templates. The templates have changed since last year, so you'll need to download our current template and move your content to those new materials. Both the budget and budget narrative tabs contain an instruction block at the top. Please review this carefully before you begin. As always, feel free to contact us with any additional questions you might have at crcf@cit.org. Finally, when you're ready to complete both tabs, you'll need to enter your CRCF reference number and project title. The CIT or CRCF reference number is a unique number that's assigned to your project at the LOI stage when your project was approved for application. It indicates the funding program, the solicitation, and the industry sector for the project. This is different than the 8-digit ID number assigned to you by our online portal at the LOI stage. Moving forward, please always use the CRCF reference number when preparing your application materials or when contacting our staff. The program guidelines will direct you to use this number in the file name for all uploaded documents. Note that it's in the instruction email that you received when your LOI was approved, as well as at the top of the project information page on the online application form, should you need a refresher. Once you've entered the CRCF reference number and project title, on the budget template, you'll see white and yellow cells. You'll enter the data for your CRCF request and matching funds into the white cells. The yellow cells are formula-driven and will update as you input data into the white cells. We've locked the yellow cells to avoid accidental changes to the embedded formula. If your period of performance is for longer than 12 months, you'll need to contact the CRCF team to request a multi-year template. We'll need to know which program you're applying for and how long you anticipate the project to last. It may be helpful to mention that your budget will reflect the total cost to accomplish the CRCF project. This is the sum of the CRCF requested funds and matching funds combined. For example, under the commercialization program, if you request the maximum $50,000 and provide the minimum $50,000 in matching funds, your total project cost will be $100,000. In your proposal, you'll be describing the $100,000 project. I have screenshots of the templates for the commercialization program and the SBIR and STTR matching funds programs here on this screen. The commercialization program template is representative of most of the CRCF programs, with the exception of SBIR and STTR. So even if you're participating today and applying under the matching funds or imminent researcher recruitment programs, this template will look very familiar. The budget for the SBIR and STTR matching funds programs is the one most unlike the others. Because the federal award serves as your match, you will plug in the amount of the total federal award at the top of the budget. You'll fill out the budget categories for your CRCF request, just like all the other programs, but the match column is only for optional additional match. If you are not providing additional monies, beyond the federal award, then you would leave that column blank. You do not need to provide us with any information about how you'll be using your federal monies on the budget template or the budget narrative. The bottom of each budget template has cells to calculate the ratios of direct costs to CRCF requests and indirect costs to direct costs. Each program has a cap on the ratio of indirect costs to direct costs, ranging from 10 to 30%. Be sure to look at the program guidelines of the program that you're applying to for that specific information. Our private sector programs, that is commercialization and SBIR and STTR matching funds, may request up to 10% indirect costs as a ratio to the direct costs requested from CRCF. This cap is 12% for the Eminent Researcher Recruitment Program and 30% for the Matching Funds Program. To clarify, the cap is only on the direct cost monies requested from CRCF, not the total project, or CRCF and matching funds combined, which is a change from previous years. You already know that CRCF favors projects with lower indirect cost ratios. If you're not already familiar with the direct versus indirect costs, to give you a quick overview, direct costs are ones that can be completely attributed to the project, such as labor or a consumable. Examples of indirect costs are overhead or general and administrative or G&A expenses. These are commonly referred to as the real costs of doing business. These are the expenses that are capped for CRCF projects. As I mentioned, the matching funds must match or exceed the monies requested from CRCF. And while the total amounts must mirror each other from year to year, the categories do not need to match one another. As you start plugging data into your budget, you'll see that we calculate several totals. One for the CRCF request, one for the match, and another for the total project budget, which of course is the sum of the two previous figures. When we talk about the maximum request amount, we're referring to the amount of monies being requested from CRCF as opposed to that total project budget. The purpose of the budget narrative is to provide application reviewers with an understanding of how monies will be expended. It also identifies the sources, amounts, and uses of matching funds. On the Budget tab, the CRCF request and match are side by side. On the budget narrative, the first block of rows provides narrative for the CRCF request, followed by a second group of rows which provide narrative for the matching funds. These rows are set up to wrap text, but sometimes we notice that cells need to still be expanded. It would be a good idea to double check this before you submit, just to ensure that all data is visible within a single cell. This is a screenshot of the commercialization program budget narrative template. The budget narrative should provide a high-level explanation of the amounts and categories of all monies requested from CRCF, and your match. It should provide detail regarding how monies will be used and specifically what they will cover. The required level of detail is identified in italics under each budget category name. Of course, the more detail you're able to provide, the better. All expenses must be justified as critical to the project. The budget and budget narrative are closely reviewed during all stages of the review process. I'll provide some examples of what we're looking for in a budget narrative. For example, if funds on the budget are allocated for labor, your narrative should explain who the funds cover by name and/or title, the salary or rate of pay for each person, and how much time they'll be working on the project. If you have requested fringe benefits for any individuals, we expect you to indicate what the benefits are included in your fringe package and the fringe rate. For consultants and/or subcontractors, you might put funds towards an attorney to assist with patent filing, or perhaps for an organization that will process samples for you. In this category on the budget narrative, you would explain why you intend to use this individual or organization and provide their location. If any work will be done outside of Virginia, this must be explained and justified. Don't forget that all of our programs cap the amount of funds that can go towards consultants or subcontractors at 49% of the CRCF requested funds. CRCF applicants, including their contingent workforce, must conduct the majority of the CRCF funded work. There is not a cap on the pay rate for consultants and subcontractors or other personnel involved with project execution. However, the pay rate is evaluated and should be both reasonable and appropriate. As a further clarification, we know that many of our private sector applicants are often small, one or two man companies at the time of CRCF application. For our purposes, contingent workforce is defined as personnel that may become employed by the applicant organization as the company grows. The effort of these individuals should be logged under labor rather than consultants or subcontractors. As a final example, if a small portion of your CRCF monies will be used to purchase any equipment, describe what is being purchased and how it will be used in the CRCF project. Because CRCF is targeting technology development work and is not an equipment acquisition program, it will be particularly important to provide ample justification for any equipment listed in the CRCF requested monies. Applicants must address whether there are alternatives to purchasing, such as leasing or borrowing from another organization. You'll need to demonstrate that this equipment is critical to advance the development of the specific technology proposed for CRCF funding. Indirect costs may not be charged on equipment. Something that comes up frequently is how to distinguish between materials and supplies versus equipment. CRCF defines materials and supplies as consumables, disposables, or other short lifespan items. Equipment tends to be more expensive and has a durable, useful life of more than 12 months. A final point that I'd like to mention is that a portion of your CRCF requested monies may go to support market validation activities. We specifically address what these activities are in that FAQs document. So, if this is something that you're considering including in your proposal, please be sure to read question 54 of the FAQs. For your convenience, they're available as a handout directly from this presentation, but again can also be accessed from any of the FY18 pages in the document box at the top right. CRCF does not provide sample proposals, but we do have a sample budget that you may download from the CRCF pages, but again, also included as a handout for this presentation. In our application webinar yesterday, we covered tips for creating strong proposals. If you weren't able to participate in that section, again, I highly recommend spending a few minutes with the recording that will be available later today, or from the session that was hosted last month. These presentations contain valuable information not found within other resources. As part of today's presentation, I'll highlight some things to pay attention to when preparing your budget document. The first suggestion I have seems obvious, but it happens frequently enough that I'll address it. Make sure that you save your documents with the correct CRCF number. We try to catch those kinds of errors, but certainly you'll want to do whatever possible to ensure the correct numbers are on all of your materials prior to submission. The budget is such an important part of your proposal. As I've already mentioned, the budget is carefully and closely looked at during the review process, and unfortunately, many applications don't advance in the review process due to errors on the budget and/or the budget narrative. We expect numbers to be accurate and that calculations on the budget narrative align with the budget and the proposal documents. Use the content outlined on the budget narrative template to guide the type and breadth of content expected for each budget category. CRCF will not reach out to applicants for clarification or for more information, including on the budget. If you make changes to one tab of the document, remember to update the second tab as well. Take the time to double check your budget and budget narrative to ensure accuracy before submitting the application. Information should be consistent between the budget, budget narrative, application, and proposal. You'd be surprised to know how frequently we receive proposals where the CRCF request on the budget doesn't match what's in the application or in the proposal. Frequently, the periods of performance don't match from one another. Sometimes we see budgets with key personnel listed, but who aren't identified in the proposal or vice versa. A common error we encounter is proposals that exceed budget caps for a particular category. As I've already mentioned, our programs have different caps on budget categories, including those indirect costs, subcontractors or consultants, and market validation. You can find more information about the specifics for the program that you're applying to in the program guidelines and the budget templates. This is another good time to remind you to pay particular attention to the materials that you download from the website as you get started or continue working on your application. Remember that each program has a specific template for its application and budget. Make sure to use this year's templates and that you have the correct template for the program you're applying to. Each template's heading will clearly identify the program. So for example, if it only says matching funds, but you're applying for the SBIR matching funds program, you have the wrong template. All the information you'll need for the FY18 funding round is available at this solicitation landing page. You'll be able to find materials for webinars that we've already hosted, the FAQs, program guidelines, sample documents, application templates, etc. The application deadline for the commercialization and SBIR and STTR matching funds programs is this coming Tuesday, January the 16th at noon Eastern Standard Time. The deadline for the eminent researcher recruitment and matching funds programs is Wednesday, January 31st, again at noon Eastern Standard Time. If at any time throughout the application process you have additional questions, the best way to reach our team is through the email address crcf@cit.org. That inbox is monitored by yours truly, as well as other members of the team to ensure prompt responses to all the emails that we receive. We're available during business hours Monday through Friday. The exception to this is this coming Monday, January the 15th, as the CIT offices will be closed in observation of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Please plan ahead if you think you may have questions and your application is due on Tuesday at noon. All approved applicants and participants in today's webinar have already been added to our listserv. But if you have additional team members who might wish to sign up, please visit the URL provided on this slide. Again, you'll be able to access the slides used in today's presentation by close of business via the last URL here on the screen. That's the solicitation homepage, and the recording will be available in this same location tomorrow. With that, it's a wrap on the prepared portion of my presentation. For those who may have missed the earlier instruction, questions can be submitted by expanding your webinar control panel and using that questions function. I'll address all questions raised for the benefit of everyone here today, though if a question seems very specific to a particular organization or additional information is needed before I can provide a clear answer, I'll follow up with those individuals separately after the conclusion of the session. So I don't see any questions at the moment, but I am going to pause here for just a minute as you may be typing or thinking about things that you may need to address here today. While we're waiting to see if any questions come in, I'll also mention that you'll see a lot of webinar recordings on the website that I've been calling out. There are 2 application sessions and 2 budget sessions, one of which is the one you're participating on here today. The first group that was hosted in December by my colleague Heather is already available for download. And you'll notice there's no need to review or look at both sets of presentations. The content is very identical, but we're just offering multiple opportunities for those that may not have been able to join in December. So we have a question here about whether if an organization receives an award from another organization after the CRCF submission, can those monies be used for the matching funds component? So there's 2 answers to that question. The first is that in your CRCF application, you do need to put forth a valid source of matching funds or sources of matching funds. But should additional monies be secured after the CRCF award is made, you could either provide additional monies towards the CRCF project that would come from that second source, or you can propose a budget modification to use the newly acquired funds as opposed or in addition to what was already provided. So once again, we are expecting all applicants to have a plan for where those matching funds are going to come from and that they're available beginning on the start date for the CRCF project. But that doesn't mean we aren't willing to work with you should additional monies become available or different sources become available. We We have another question about what overhead is permittable for your CRCF matching funds component. And there are no limits to that source of overhead. What we are capping, again, is that percentage. So for our private sector, 10% indirect costs coming from two categories, overhead and G&A. But the source or what adds up to equal that overhead amount is not assessed. Those would be the costs of doing business. A great question here about whether you'll need to submit record of receipts and purchases to show proof of the matching funds to CIT. The short answer to that is no. So we ask you to provide the CRCF budget, which we've talked about at length today, with your application. And should an award be made, you'll be asked to submit typically one progress report that includes a financial template and one final report that also includes a financial template. We use that as the assessment of both the use of CRCF funds and of the matching funds, and don't require any further proof of that information. We're trusting our applicants and award recipients that the information that they're putting forward to us is truthful and honest. However, we do have the prerogative to audit awarded projects and have done so in the past. Cheryl, I see your question here about matching funds coming in after CRCF funds are counted. I'm not quite sure what you're meaning by that, so if you wouldn't mind rephrasing and resubmitting that question, I'd be happy to address it. Another question is if you have free lab access for a subtask, can we quantify that using a baseline cost for lab use in some manner? Certainly. So if you have access to a lab or perhaps it's office space that's being provided to you, you are certainly welcome to quantify that amount and provide it perhaps as your matching funds. So you'll need to make sure that there's a dollar value associated with what you're getting for that, but you're more than welcome to provide that as part of your matching funds. I guess as a follow-on to that, the same would go for equipment, for your labor. Even if you are not taking a salary, you could use the salary that you would or the rate of pay that you would be taking if you were to receive those monies actually in hand. Quantify the effort that you would be putting forth, and you're welcome to put that as your matching funds as well. Cheryl, thanks for the additional information. So she's asking whether the equipment purchased before June 2018 is counted towards matching funds. The answer is the purchase of the equipment is not, but like I was just saying, if you can quantify the use of the equipment that would be used during the CRCF project, that can be counted as your matching funds. But the overall equipment, because likely it's not going to be used just for the CRCF project, or you could wait to purchase it if it is solely for the CRCF project during that period of performance, but otherwise it would only be a portion of that amount that could be counted as the matching funds. While I'm waiting to see if any more questions will come in, I just want to encourage you to use the resources that are available on CIT's website, the FAQs, the sample information, these webinars, and also to utilize our team for support in preparing your application, whether it be your proposal, budget, or both. We really want to make sure that we are seeing the strongest possible proposals. So we are here to assist you in that process. And so whatever we can do to answer specific questions, we won't read proposals ahead of time, but if you have specific questions or ways that we can assist you to better understand the content in the guidelines or the templates, we're happy to do so. That crcf@cit.org is going to be your lifeline to reaching our team at any point in time. Okay, well, I don't see anything else at the moment, but again, if something comes to you after we wrap up this session, don't hesitate to reach out. You guys have been great. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today and to present this information. And we look forward to all of the applications coming in either next Tuesday for the private sector or at the end of the month for our universities, federal labs, and other research groups. So thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll get this recording up as soon as possible for you guys. Thanks again. Bye-bye.